Very
Okay.
good evening.
Okay.
Hey, sir.
Okay. Just give me 2 minutes.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Hello. All right. So, guys, welcome to the session, demo session on master's program, Azure master's program, which is basically uh, a collective of 104, AZ 500, and AZ 700, right? So I'm your trainer. I have around 8 years of experience in cloud as well as in on-prem environment, right? And I'm already SG104 certified, 500 certified, 700 certified, and the other security like CompTIA and all security certifications I do have. And here in networkings, I'm teaching from last 5 years, right? So I have trained multiple batches, and I used to give training in MCSA, and then in Azure, then in Office 365, Intunes, SCCM. So all these technology I used to teach here, right? So in today's session, we are going to discuss about the master's program, right? How this master's program is going to help you out in order to secure a job, as well as in order to add on your skills in your CV, and so that you can just increase the weightage of your CV, and then you can start targeting your jobs in cloud computing field. All right. So it's a master program, right? Where actually we are covering Azure Administrator, Azure Security, and Azure 700, right? So we are going to start with 104 first, because see, 104 is going to make your like you will be it is going to make your base, right? Because 104 also includes the network topics, the security topics. So once you will be able to understand 104, it would be easy for you to understand 500 and 700, right? So first, once we are going to have our regular classes, right? So we're gonna start with the 104 and then 500 and 700. All right. So we need to understand that why cloud computing is, why we need to move our infra, or why the cloud computing field is in boom right now. Why the companies are asking that you should have the knowledge of cloud. Because see, now the future is cloud only. Even no future, if I'm talking about current also, right? So multiple companies already migrated their services, or whatever the new services they are offering, right? That is totally on cloud. Right? Even I'm also working as a senior cloud operations engineer, right? Where actually we have all the services either on AWS or on Azure. We are not configuring anything in on-prem. But yes, if you have already worked in the on-prem environment, then it would be easy for you to understand 104. Or if you're already a network engineer, or if you are already a security engineer who already working on the firewalls or on the security side, right? So it would be easy for you to understand all this thing, right? So cloud computing, now everything is on basically you are taking services on rent. You can just assume it in such a way that you are taking the services from Microsoft on rental basis. That's it. Ultimately, all those things are getting configured on a physical hardware only. If let's say you're configuring any virtual machine, right? So that VM is going to be configured on a physical server. But the thing is, now that physical server is available on the Microsoft data center, rather than having it in your own data center, it would be on the Microsoft. Same way, if you're going to take the AWS services, the server would be there, or the physical hardware would be there on the AWS data center. Same in case of GCP, Google Cloud. If you're talking about firewalls, let's say for 500, right? You are going to learn firewalls, VPNs, and all, right? So if you have already worked on all these things, if you already knows about firewall, it would be easy for you to understand cloud firewall also. If you know what is routing, if you know what is basically IP addresses, what is VNet, virtual network, right? It would be easy for you to understand 700 also. Ultimately, if you have the knowledge of on-prem, then it's good time to switch yourself or switch into the cloud. As simple as that, right? So let's take one example as I'm explaining this thing, right? So ultimately, all the devices, either it would be network device or it would be security devices, right? Or it would be the servers. Everything is going to be there on the Microsoft data center, right? So Microsoft has physical data center in multiple regions, in 60 plus regions, 60 plus countries. Microsoft has their data centers. Now, depending upon your closest region, let's say you are from India, right? So you are going to configure your infrastructure in India data center itself, so that there would be a low latency, low network latency. If any client is from US, then you are going to configure their servers in US itself, or you are going to make their infrastructure in US itself. That is what recommended. All right. So ultimately, so Microsoft has a big data center where actually multiple server racks are there. I will show you a real-time example. Okay. See. So let's say this is the data center in US, right? And on these racks, you are going to have the physical servers, which you used to have in your on-prem data center, on-prem DC. Now these things will be there in your Microsoft data center. And now depending upon your need, you are going to configure your virtual machines. It can be either a Windows VM or it can be a Linux VM. That is totally depends upon your requirement. Like if you have worked on Hyper-V, right? So Hyper-V also, it is a virtualization tool. So by using a single hardware, you can configure multiple virtual machine. If you have a good hardware, so in that hardware, you can configure multiple VMs. So it can be any. It can be a Linux VM also. By the way, Microsoft supports Windows and Linux VM only as of now. They are not supporting Mac operating system, right? So this is Microsoft data center where actually they have multiple servers available. Now, customer has to create a subscription. If I'm talking about Azure, right? They have to get the subscription, right? So once they are going to have the subscription, then only they will be able to use these services. It can be any service, right? It can be firewall also. It can be your load balancers also. So in Azure, there are multiple services, right? Depending upon your requirement, you are going to configure it. But in order to configure any of the service in Azure, you have to get one active subscription first of all. right? This subscription, either it can be a pay as you go. There are two type of subscription: pay as you go. That is what you are going to use in your production environment in real time, as you go, pay as you go. And the second would be free subscription, free trial. So if any account is going to have these two subscription, then only you will be able to use these services which are available on Azure. Right? It covers everything: your security also, your infrastructure also, or your networking also. Because if, let's say, you want to make the communication of your India VM to US virtual machines, then obviously we have to do the communication. So either you are going to configure the VPN, or you are going to do the VNet peering, right? So network also, security, obviously everyone wants that it should be secured. No one will be able to track your activities. No one will be able to get that what actually you are doing over Azure, on Azure, right? So it should be a secured communication from the end device, because ultimately you can connect this as your subscription from anywhere, from any corner of the world. You just need a internet connection. But at the same time, if you will compare it with your on-prem data center, so in order to enter into your on-prem DC, first of all, in your laptop, you have to connect your VPN, and then only you will be able to enter into it. And then only you can make changes in your servers. But in case of Azure, you will be needing just internet connection, and through internet, you will be able to connect your subscription, and whatever the resources you have in your subscription, you will be able to take control onto it. This is what the benefit of having cloud services. There is no dependency. If you have internet connection, you are traveling somewhere, you're traveling out of India, right? Still, or your managers want to do some changes on your servers, just one internet connection is needed. You will be able to do it. Along with it, there are multiple benefits if you're going to have your resources in Azure. Okay, now what could be the benefits of having cloud services? First of all, you need not to manage the hardware. It is going to be managed by Microsoft itself. You need not to worry about, right? In your on-prem data center, you have to configure it, right? You will be needing backup. You will be needing internet connectivity, right? Or if, let's say, something went wrong with your hardware, then you have to procure the new hardware, and then you are going to make the changes, and then only you will be able to run your server. So every these things you have to take care, right? Whenever you are going to have the on-prem environment. But if you're going to have it on Azure, it is going to be managed by the Microsoft itself. You need not to worry about. One more. Let's say I'm using on-prem data center, I'm using on-prem servers, right? And I need to customize the size, the size of the compute size of the server. Let's say I'm running with this server with 16 GB RAM, but my requirement is I need to upgrade it to 64. This is I'm talking about on-prem for now. Okay. So for on-prem, what you need to do, you have to first of all stop the server, right? You have to get the RAM first of all. You have to order the RAM. Either it would be from Dell or it would be from HP, right? You have to get the RAM for your server. Then you have to see whether the RAM, whether this server is going to support that RAM or not. So doing all this testing, in that case, this server is going to be down, and then users will not be able to access your services. At the same time, if you want to change the compute in case of Azure, it will just take 5 seconds to upgrade your servers. You have to just click on customize. You have to just select that uh, which compute power you needed. You have to just select it, and then it will upgrade your server. right? In on-prem, you will be needing power backup. But again, in Microsoft, it is going to be managed by Microsoft only. You need not to worry about. So there are multiple benefits of having cloud services. That is why companies don't want to bother all these stuff. That is why they are having their resources, their configurations on cloud itself. That is why cloud is now very popular. All right. Now, as I told, in order to configure Azure services, you will be needing the subscription, active subscription. Under that only, you will be able to configure the resources. Like I can show you an example. I already have my pay as you go subscription. I can show you that. So it is portal.azure.com. If you want to access the resources or if you want to configure the resources, you need to log in on portal.azure.com and then you will be able to access the services here. I think there is some issue with my internet today. All right. So this is my Azure portal, right? As I told, you will be needing one active subscription first of all. So under that subscription only, right, you will be able to add your resources. You will be able to configure your virtual machine. You will be able to make your firewalls. You will be able to add your rules, firewall rules, or you can configure your network security groups. So multiple things are there which can be configured under a valid active subscription. Now, what is pay as you go? Pay as you go means as soon as you will start using the services, from that day itself, Microsoft will start charging you. But yes, if let's say I configured one virtual machine today, right? And after 2 days, I'm going to stop it. I'm not deleting it. I'm just going to stop it. Then in that case, Microsoft will not gonna charge anything from me. A little bit charges would be there if I'm going to use the hard disk in the VM or I'm going to use the public IP in the VM. Then in that case, Microsoft will charge. Or if I'm not using all these things, then in that case, Microsoft will not gonna charge me, right? So after the configuration or as soon as you will start using the services of Azure, Microsoft will start charging you. That is what pay as you go is. If let's say I have this subscription and I have not configured anything on my portal, that means Microsoft is not charging me right now. Only if I'll start configuring anything on it, from that time itself, Microsoft will start charging me. That is the beauty of cloud computing, right? If I'm not starting, let's say virtual machines are configured, I'm not turning it on. So there would be a small amount that Microsoft is going to deduct because obviously in order to run that VM, I will be needing hard disk storage, right? So that storage is going to be on chargeable basis. But the other things like your RAM, your virtual CPU, Microsoft is not going to charge for this thing. Even it is there in all other cloud vendors also for with your GCP as well and with your AWS also. Right? So this is cloud portal. Now there are multiple services available depending upon your requirements. See, as I told, you can configure your virtual machine, you can configure your SQL database, right? SQL server which you used to have in your on-prem environment, right? That can be done under your Azure portal, right? Load balancers you can configure, storage account you can configure, Entra ID, guys, Azure AD. It is the major thing, right? Earlier you used to have your on-prem domain controllers. But nowadays, Entra ID companies, mostly organization are using Entra ID. So for Entra ID, no need to configure any domain controller. You just need to add your custom domain, like whatever your domain is. You are going to add that domain in your Entra ID, and then you can create your user's account in Entra ID. Like I can show you. See, this is Entra ID. So my default directory is this one, right? Trainer SD one Outlook at dot on Microsoft.com. So if I'll see my user's account, it would be like this. Or if I need to create any new user, I can do that. Earlier we were doing it in on-prem domain controller, but now directly on Entra ID you can log in and you can start configuring your new user's account. This is cloud-based service, right? Along with it, there are multiple things. So there is a marketplace also. If you will go to marketplace, like we used to have um, a Play Store in our phone, right? In our Android phone or on your iOS devices, you used to have your iOS store, right? Same way in Microsoft Azure, it is called as marketplace. So whatever the resources you want to configure, it would be available under the marketplace. So if you want to configure any network resource, you need to configure any storage, you need to configure any media, identity, databases, monitoring, vulnerability management. Like for vulnerability, we used to have a Nessus Tenable, right? So everything is there in the marketplace. For example, you want to configure checkpoint firewall, right? You can see checkpoint, cloud guard, CNAP, checkpoint. Palo Alto you want to configure. So all these things are available here itself, right? For vulnerability management, let's say you want to configure Qualys. So Qualys is also a vulnerability management tool, which is going to scan your environment, and it is going to give you the loopholes, that what and all loopholes are there in your VMs or in your infrastructure. That is why this tool is being used. So it is also there. You just need to create. That's it. Likewise, whatever services you want, almost you will be able to get it in the marketplace. In networking, you will be able to see multiple things. You will be able to see multiple things, right? So if I'll go to networking, you can see something. Reverse proxy servers are there, access manager, Azure Active Directory DC, right? Zscaler, right? It is also pfSense firewall, right? So multiple things. Cisco identity services. So all the things are available under the marketplace. Let's say you want to configure monitoring, right? So application insight is a tool which is from Microsoft itself. You can use it, or Datadog also. It is widely used in the organizations. Datadog, Zabbix is there. Rapid 7. There is one more tool, Rapid 7, which is widely used in the organization to get the vulnerability. So that is why everything is there. So why to configure these things in your on-prem environment? If you have everything under a single umbrella, why we should go for the on-prem services? Along with it, you can configure your high availability as well. Let's say you configure one virtual machine, but there is some outage going on in the Microsoft data center, because ultimately, guys, these servers are going to be the physical servers. So from Microsoft side also, it might possible that there would be some issue with the physical devices. Then it doesn't mean that you will not be able to access the services. In that case, you can configure the high availability of your VM. Let's say this VM is configured on this server, right? And this server is down. There is something issue going on from the Microsoft end itself. So in that case, Microsoft, what you can do, the same VM you will be able to access from this server, which is in healthy state. That is the high availability. Now it might possible, let's say this data center is available in Pune, right? And in Pune, let's say there is some network outage in the whole Pune location, or there is some power outage in the whole Pune location. In that case, obviously, you will not be able to access anything. Then Microsoft will provide you one more service, that if you are not able to access it from Pune, your machine will be moved to the other data center, which is going to be nearby Pune location. Like that, Microsoft is ensuring your high availability. Now, let's say the whole India region is down. Hypothetically, let's think it. If the whole India region is down, then also Microsoft is ensuring the services of your VMs. You will be able to access it. In that case, your VMs would be moved out to the nearest location, nearest country, which is closest to India, so that you will be able to access your VM. That is what Microsoft is ensuring in case of any of the outages. Now, any doubt, any question till now? Yes, guys. Any question? Are we good? Give me a thumbs up if you all are okay with it, or if you don't have any query.
Yeah, hello. Am I audible?
Yes, Aditya, go ahead, please.
No, it's Aniket.
Oh, yeah, yeah, Niket, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is just you mentioned about that high availability
Hmm.
and between the servers.
Hmm.
So those servers means are physical servers which is present on the data center of the Azure
Exactly.
Microsoft, right? Right.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
during the creation of the high availability, we should that should be done by the Microsoft engineer, not by us, right?
No, yeah. During the creation, when you are going to create your VM, right? At that time
Hmm.
itself, you are going to define whether you want the high availability of this VM or not.
Okay, if I record a high availability VM, suppose there is suppose in Pune location there is one server and in
Hmm.
Mumbai location there is one server.
Hmm.
So my VM1 would be connected with the Pune location and the high availability of that VM, like VM2,
Hmm.
is connected with the Mumbai, right?
Yes, that is depends on a zonal failure, right? So there are multiple things
Yeah,
would be
that
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So if you're talking
okay,
about
okay,
zonal
okay.
failure, see,
Hmm.
outages can be within the data center or outside the data center also. If you're talking about within the data center, there is issue with this VM, right? Then in that case, your
Hmm.
VM would be available in the same data center, but on the different
Hmm.
physical server. Okay?
Okay. So
Yeah.
this causes within the data. So how this can be decided? How this infra has been built?
That
Because
is
there
at the
are
time of
multiple things.
configuration. Yeah, at the time of configuration, you are going to
Okay,
know.
okay, 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 okay.
Okay.
No
I'll
problem.
let you
No,
know
no
during
problem.
every
No problem. And
configuration.
one more thing you mentioned about some Entra ID.
Yeah, correct. Enter ID.
And actually, I was not aware of that. What is the Entra ID means?
Okay. Have you ever worked on Active Directory, AD, on-prem
Uh,
AD?
no, actually, I'm a networking guy working on routing, switching, and firewall. So
Okay, you're already
least I have least knowledge on the AD part.
no problem, and no problem. So you are working in company already, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
So you're logging in your laptop with your domain account, with your
yes,
company's domain account.
yes, yes.
So ultimately, that domain account is available in either in your Entra ID or it is available in your on-prem domain controller.
Okay,
So
okay.
Active Directory is a kind of phone book for the organization where actually they are going to keep the record of their
Hmm,
users and of their
hmm.
or their computers,
Okay, okay, okay. Got it.
right?
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Aniket.
Hi, Saitya, one more question. So, do we require any prerequisite for this course, like anything?
Just a basic knowledge on the servers, right? Or the basic knowledge of network and the security. That's it. Only basic. I'm not asking about that you should have the in-depth knowledge of all this stuff. Only basic. You should be aware of that what are servers, how the configuration can be done on servers. Like now, Aniket was asking about Active Directory, right? So these are very basic things that you should be aware of, which is make your job easy to understand this whole module.
So this training will also include AZ 900 as well, right? Like that part or
Yeah, that I will. So for cloud, you need not to worry about, right?
oh, okay,
So I
okay.
will cover everything. I'm just asking a simple computer knowledge. That's it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's fine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandesh. Anyone else? Any doubt? Any question before we go ahead? Chalo. So we talked about the subscription, right? The services or the physical data centers which are there in Microsoft also, right? So if you want to see the real-time data, or if you want to get a virtual tour of Microsoft data center, right? Let me show you that first of all, and then we will talk about the we will talk more onto cloud computing. All right. So okay, so as you can see, it is 60 plus Azure regions, and it has 300 plus data center across globe. Right? So if you want to see the real-time data, so we'll go to explore global data centers. All right, guys. So this is the real-time data, right? Wherever you can see these dots, right? Or you can see these blue dots. These are the physical data center. Or wherever you can see these white one, right? So they are planning to get their data center in these locations, right? So if you'll move this, you will be able to get the real-time picture that how is there, right? If I click on this, it is in China North region, right? So if I'll select it is East Asia, okay? Likewise, if you will move it, you will be able to get the real-time data, right? So if you want to get a tour, in that case, let's go to take a tour, and then I'll go to Microsoft virtual Microsoft data center. Because obviously these are going to be the basic things, right? We should be aware of that. uh, it can be sometime it can be interview questions also. Okay, see, let's enter into the lobby. So if you will get the chance to visit Microsoft data center, it would be look like this, right? They are using um, um, renewable resources actually, right? Like you can see windmills, you can see solar, right? So if I'll enter into the lobby, there would be one monitoring room, right? There would be one mechanical room, there would be one data center. All right, let's enter into it and then we'll see. So this is lobby. If you want to explore it, you can see it would be the lobby, right? So if you will go next, you can see this arrow, next room operations room. So this would be your monitoring room, I believe, where the priorities and the availability of the resiliency of our data center, not only, yeah. So if you will enter into it, exactly. So they are monitoring the real-time data, that how many servers are up, how many are down, right? What is the network bandwidth, what is connectivity, or whether there any issue with the connectivity. Everything they are monitoring from this room, from the operations room, right? If I'll go next, this would be your mechanical area. This is for, you can see, hardware is efficiently for cooled, backup system are reliably maintained, physical and logical infrastructure are securely protected. Okay, so let's skip it. And now this is your server room, where actually whenever you are going to configure the services, it is going to be physically stored on these servers. You can see server, if we click on it. So this is your server. Yeah, this is your server, where actually your VMs are going to be stored. So whatever things I have mentioned, right, whether it would be power, whether it would be mechanical area and all, so these things are managed by the Microsoft. You need no to worry about. And what and all kind of devices they have, you can see. So this is what in real time or virtually the Microsoft data center looks like. There would be one circular center where you're going to have helping to deliver towards commitment of zero waste by. So in that case, so in Microsoft, if let's say there would be an issue with the hard disk, they are not going to repair it. They will crush that hard disk and they're going to insert a new one into your into the server. They will crush it. They will break it. So this is that area actually. Right? So this is a real-time data, guys. This is real-time Microsoft tour, where actually you will be able to see that how they are managing or how it looks like. So these are Microsoft engineers, Microsoft certified engineers who are working on all these things. Whether it would be a software issue or it would be a hardware issue, everything is being managed by these engineers. Okay. Now, so first of all, we are gonna start with 104 because in order to configure the network or in order to configure the security, first we should have the sound knowledge on the services which are there in cloud or which are there in Azure. So those services we will be able to learn first of in 104, and then what and all the advanced features are related to security or related to networking, we will cover it in 500 and 700. And this whole program will take almost 4 months, 4 to 5 months to complete this whole program, right? And I'm going to help you with all the study material related to 104, 500, 700, all the interview questions, all the scenario based interview questions, or how to get certified, right? So I will help you out with that also if you want to get a global certificate from Microsoft. So I will give you that. I will like help you out with it. And then the study materials would be there. For security, for administration 104, and then for networking, the study material also would be there. So no need not to worry about. I just want that you should join class regularly so that you will be able to understand the topic, you will be able to understand the agenda, right? And then once you will be regular into it, obviously you will be able to understand all the things. It would be easy for you to understand. I will explain these things in such a way that it will be easy for you to understand, right? Now let's move to the cloud computing fundamentals. That if you want to go for cloud, but first of all you have to understand that why you go to the why you want to configure your services to cloud. Anybody can volunteer, just unmute yourself and let me know why you want to learn cloud, or why you want your services moved to cloud. Anyone?
It's like a healthy and friendly way. Like you mentioned, that all suppose there is a on-prem devices,
Mhm.
which we're going to change the RAM. It would take some weeks or months for the
E-
approval and all. But
right,
in clouds, we can do within a few seconds,
exactly,
and any changes can be done from anywhere and everywhere. And it's a highly scalable and the highly improved security mentioned in the cloud. So this is my point for why we require to the cloud. And the second point is that there is two services, as you mentioned, that pay you go and the rental service. So once it is required for the organization that okay, this service we don't require, then we did not to pay on this, and we just make an interruption that we don't require for this service. Rather than that, if it is a on-prem part, then we need to take commission all those hardwares from these
exactly,
sites, which will make more means loss of the revenue of the company.
exactly. And for those devices you will be needing AMC also, right?
Yes,
Annual
yes, yes.
maintenance cost also you are going to pay, even if you are not going to use it, or you are using it.
Even like if we have the Palo Alto of services in our thing, and if that particular hardware got then we have to raise a RMA, and
Mhm.
we have to import that thing. We have to reconfigure that thing. So in this case, in cloud only, we need to use the services, and if we require, we just need to upgrade the versions. That's it. That would be quite good. So this is the
Exactly.
main thing.
Very well said. Yes. It can make your job
Okay.
easy, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Anyone else, any other points you want to add on into it? See guys, see my sessions are going to be interactive, right? So I want your inputs also. Okay, even in future also, when once we are going to start our classes, I want my sessions should be interactive. So anybody else want to add any point in it, what Aniket has mentioned?
Sachin this side.
Yeah, Sachin, go ahead please.
With the help of cloud, we can save the cost,
Mm-hmm,
also reduce the time.
mm-hmm.
Also, we will ensure that our services are running and the uptime, ensure that all the services are running and there is no downtime.
Correct,
Also,
sir.
we can deploy the resources within a day or within a week, if suppose, but if suppose we go for capex, so
Correct.
it will take a long time for the deployment,
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
and also reduce the manpower to manage it, because
Exactly.
if it is an optionality, then it will take storage. It will take storage, then required a manpower, then required like cooling devices. Everything is required. So
Exactly.
and no need to take care of if suppose we are on cloud, because everything is managed by cloud provider.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's the benefit.
Right.
That's why all companies are moving to cloud.
Exactly. Exactly. Cost is a major thing, right?
Yeah.
Because if you are going to do these things on your on-prem, right? So obviously you will be needing backup, you will be needing the manpower also who are going to be there in the data center, who is going to physically monitor the devices and all, right? So it is going to save your company's cost also. So that is why these are the regions, guys. These are the reasons that why the companies wants their infrastructure on cloud, and it is easily accessible also. If let's say there any third party, right? Let's say there any vendor, or basically what I can say, mm, yeah, let's say any vendor, right? That vendor wants to do some internal audit, right? So what we can do, we can give the access to that vendor so that he needs not to be physically there in the data center, in our on-prem data center. He can do it from his location itself, and then he can run the audit, and then he can give us the report. We can give him at it as a guest user. We can make his access for 2 hours only, that he will be able to access my resources for 2 hours only. I can define the time frame like that. There are multiple things that can be done. This is just a small example to understand this thing, right? All right, so let's move cloud computing again. Whatever we have talked about, it is there in this PPT, right? So the delivery of computing services over the internet. So everything would be there on the internet. Like if you have the internet connectivity, you will be able to access your resources. It can be your application, your softwares. It can be your file servers, your storage devices. Like you used to have your file servers in your on-prem environment, right? So same way, in case of Azure, you are just going to create the storage account. So by configuring your storage account, you will be able to add your file servers over there. You will be able to upload your files over there. Then databases, network, analytics, reporting, monitoring, intelligence, right? Everything is there. And it is offering you faster innovation, flexible resources, and economies of scale. Whenever you want, you can scale in or you can scale out also. All right. Then again, rather than managing files on local, if I'm talking about file server, right? So rather than storing it on your local storage devices, you are keeping your um, data on the cloud. Like OneDrive is the biggest example to understand this thing. If you have the internet connectivity and you uploaded your data on OneDrive, that data can be accessed from any corner of the world, right? Then types of cloud computing. So cloud computing has two models, which is deployment model and service model. Deployment model is public cloud, hybrid cloud, and private cloud. Infrastructure as a service, PaaS, platform as a service, SaaS, software as a service. Right? Now let's talk about that. What is public cloud? So to understand this thing, public cloud, you can take it as a bus, right? A transport, bus transport. So anyone can onboard into it. Train, you can understand, anyone can access it. Private cloud, in which you are going to have the services for your company only. You are going to have the dedicated devices. I will explain this thing, you need not to worry about. Okay. So private cloud, you are going to have your own infrastructure on uh, Microsoft. So Microsoft will assign a dedicated infra for your company only. And hybrid can be the combo of private and public, or it can be the combo of your on-prem and cloud, where actually you want to use your on-prem servers also, or you want to use your cloud servers also. then in that case it will be called as hybrid cloud. Or public private, the combination of both these cloud would be called as hybrid cloud. Now let's understand, let's move deep into it. Public cloud. Public cloud providers a shared platform that is accessible to the general public through an internet connection. Basically, let's say this is my company and I got a pay as you go subscription for my company, right? And this company is for Aniket. So Aniket also wants to configure some virtual machine, and I also want to configure some virtual machine. So using my subscription, I'm going to configure my VM. And let's say Microsoft gave me this server, and my VM is configured on this server. At the same time, when Aniket is going to trigger the command or trigger the service to configure the virtual machine, it might possible that he also will get the virtual machine on this server. It doesn't mean that I will be able to access his service. No, only he's the owner, he can access it. But we both are using the shared resources. We are using the same platform, the same server. That is what public cloud is. Same way, if there would be any other third company and they are triggering the command to configure the VM, so it might possible on the same server, on the same physical server, one VM is going to be configured for the third organization. The access would be segregated, right? Need not to worry about that. Aniket will be able to access my virtual machine, or I will be able to access his virtual machine. No, only he is going to be the owner. He can access it. But I am using, or Microsoft is giving the shared resources of a single server. This is what public cloud is. It is available for anyone. At the same time, if I'm talking about private cloud, in that case, this dedicated server is going to be assigned for my subscription only. No one will be able to configure the VM on this physical server because I am the owner. I am the owner of this whole hardware. This is private cloud. Until or unless I'm not releasing this hardware, Microsoft will start charging. Microsoft is going to charge me. Even I'm not using it, I'm not configuring it, I'm not starting it. In that case, also Microsoft is going to charge me because this physical server is assigned for my subscription, for my company. I have to pay. I have to pay for this device. This is private cloud. Hybrid. Hybrid can be the combination of both public, where actually you want something on public or something on your private. So it would be the combination of both your public and private. Or if let's say you have some data center in your on-prem and you want to use the combo of both the services, so that combo would be called as hybrid cloud. Let's say you have some file servers here, right? You want that whatever the data you have on your file server, it should be synchronized with your cloud also. Then in that case, it would be a hybrid model. Or let's say you have your on-prem domain controller. You want whatever the users you are configuring on your DC, it should synchronize with your Entra ID also. Now that is also a kind of hybrid model. So these are the three types of cloud computing model: public, private, or hybrid. Depending upon your requirement, depending upon your management um, approvals, right? Or your client requirement also. Based on that, you are going to configure these things. Now the question would be, that how we will get to know that yes, we will be needing public cloud, private cloud, or the hybrid one, or which option we should go with. It totally comes with your experience. If you already worked on your, or one more thing, let's say I want to configure the server, I want to configure a web server, then what compute power I will be needing on the VM? Either it would be 2 virtual CPU or 8 GB RAM, or it should go more. So how you can take that precise decision? That comes with your on-prem experience. That comes with, if you already worked on the servers, you already worked on the networking, you know how the communication would be there, right? How the two different IPs will be able to communicate. You know how for security, you know already that how the firewalls are going to be configured, how the rules you are going to add, how netting you are going to configure with the help of firewall, how you are going to do the port forwarding in your firewall. That all things comes with your on-prem experience. That is what I want from you guys. Now costing is also the major part. Obviously directly you can't go blind, right, that you are going to configure the servers and then you're going to run your service. No, you can't go blind, right? You should have an idea that what is going to be the costing, so that your management is going to approve it. So in that case, Microsoft gives you one calculator, Azure calculator service, pricing calculator like that. I'll give you this link. Don't no need to worry about. This is just a demo session. We are going to discuss these things again once we will start our first class. Once we will have our first class. So I'll give you all these links. Okay. So this is your calculator, guys, where actually you will calculate whatever the service is available in Azure, whatever we have seen in the marketplace, right? It is there in the pricing calculator, so that you will get a sense of idea, right? Or you'll get an idea that what is going to be the cost, what is going to be the pricing, what is going to be the price you have to pay to the Microsoft. So this is your pricing calculator, guys. Depending upon your requirement, you want to go with compute. Compute is basically virtual machines and all. Network, storage, web, mobile, containers, database. All these services are there, right? You have to get it and you have to see that what is going to be the cost. Let's say you want to configure virtual machine. So I will select VM and then you can go to view. Now region. Cost depends on region also, guys, because every country has their own rules or policies, all text structures. Every company has their different text structures, right? So depending upon the location also, price will vary. Okay. So for example, I'm going with India, or let's go with US itself, guys. Okay. Then what kind of operating system you want? So as I told, Azure only supports Linux and Windows operating system. Only as of now, AWS is giving you the option to configure Mac OS. Okay. So let's say want to go with Windows. Yeah, Linux is cheaper than Windows, guys. All right. So let's say I'm going with Windows and the operating system only, right? Then the tier would be standard, and then category. So category would be basically um, the type of VM you want. Let's say you want to host a gaming website, then obviously you will be needing the high compute power. You will be needing GPU, right? Or you will be needing the graphic card also, right? So based on that, you have to select your category. Okay, for now, let me go with all. So now in this, you will be able to see the instance series, A series, D series. We will talk about it. I have all these things in my PPT, or even this task I'm giving to you, right? So in next session, once we'll start our first class, right? So I want you all to go through that what and all series are available in Azure and for which service they are. Specifically for which service they are, you have to get it. You have to go through it. You can Google it and you can get it, right? For example, I'm selecting all for now, let it be. I'm not selecting any specific series, right? Then this is going to be the compute power. 2 virtual CPU, 8 GB RAM. CPU, 8 GB RAM. You can increase it also. Let's say you want to go with 14 GB RAM, 8 virtual CPU, 8 core CPU, you can select it. Or if you want more than that, that is also available. That is also available. Now it totally depends that what type of VM you want or what is going to be the compute power of that VM, right? So let's go with 2 cores and 3 GB of RAM. And then I want to configure one virtual machine. You can configure, like you can increase the number as per your requirement. For how long you are going to run it. For example, I want to run it for 1 month. I want to run 10 virtual machine with this compute power with Windows operating system in East US location for 1 month. Then what is going to be the cost? The cost would be $1,314. You can get some discount also if you're going to reserve these instances. If you are already aware of that, hey, I'm going to keep it for 1 year or I'm going to keep it for 3 years, right? In that case, you can get some discount as well. So that's this option you have to select, and then Microsoft will let you know that what is going to be the discount. So it would be there. mm, they're not 870 reserved. You can see reduce cost on the select Azure services by forecasting your resource needs and paying for them in advance. So if you're reserving it, then in that case, Microsoft will give you some discount also. So this is the calculator from where you will get the idea. Same, you can go for storage. You want 100 TB storage on cloud, right? So what is going to be the cost for it, right? At the same time, guys, if I'm going to change the region, see, 10 virtual 10 VMs. So in East US, they are charging $1,314. But if I will change the region and I will make it as India, hmm, Central India, right? Now for the same VM, the cost would be 10 virtual machines now for 1 month. 1 core CPU. Okay, this got changed, right? Earlier we selected 3.5 gig RAM, right? It was the hmm. So for India region, it would be $1,438. So East US is cheaper as compared to India. US is cheaper as compared to India. That is all because India has their own taxation and all, um, their own internal, right? Now let's go back to the PPT. So this public, private, right? Hybrid, we already talked about. Then service model, guys. Infrastructure as a service means you're configuring infrastructure on cloud. That is what infrastructure as a service is. You are making your VMs on cloud. That is infrastructure as a service. You are configuring your load balancers. That is infrastructure as a service. Platform as a service, PaaS. So it is basically used by your developers. If let's say they are designing any application, right, and they want to test their code. Let's say they want to test it. They want to do automation testing with Selenium, right? So environment is already there. They have to just deploy their code and they have to just run the testing. That's it. Right? So it is going to be platform as a service. Then software as a service. The example to understand software as a service is Microsoft 365, your Office 365, Intunes. These are the examples to understand the software as service. So Microsoft is offering software as a service. You have to just get the license and then you will be able to use the service. You need not to configure the infrastructure for it. Like earlier, you were configuring Exchange server in your on-prem data center. Now on Exchange Online, everything is there. You can just log in onto Exchange Online using your internet connection, and you can start configuring your server services. Same way, earlier you were managing your end devices through Software Center Configuration Manager (SCCM). But now the same, but for SCCM, you have to configure 3 servers in your data center. One is going to be for your primary site, second would be your database server, and third would be your domain controller. But Intunes, the same thing you can do in Intunes, but no need to configure anything, no need to configure the servers and all. You will be needing, you have to just log in on Intune portal, and you can manage your end devices. You can manage the security, you can do the patching of the laptops, right? You can deploy any operating system, you can upgrade any operating system, or nowadays companies are giving work from home, right? But still I want that as an admin, I should have the control on my devices, my company's devices. So we can get it. If the user is connected with the internet and the device is enrolled with Intunes, we can track their activities. We can see what he is doing. We can see for how long he's working on the laptop, right? So that is why Microsoft has offered these software as a service where actually no dependency is needed, no infrastructure is needed. Everything is going to be managed by Microsoft. You have to just get the license, Intune license, or a Microsoft 365 license, or Entra ID license if you want to configure identity access management for the security part, right? You will be needing Entra ID license, and then you can control the access of the users, that what they can do on your portal. That is kind of delegate control, right? So this is what software. Now this is the example, guys. You can see infrastructure as a service provides basic computing infrastructure. So users are IT administrators. So we are going to work on it. As operations engineer, it is going to be our job to configure the services and to make the availability of our services to the end customer, right? Then PaaS, you can see it is basically used by the software administrator, where actually they will be able to build their environment, they will be able to test their environment, or they will be able to manage their applications, right? Then software as a service, you can see the example Office 365, and Google Apps also is an example of software as a service. You can access your OneDrive, or you can access your Google Drive from anywhere, from any machine. Only internet is needed. You can access Google Sheet. You can log in into your Google Sheet using your internet connection. Same way you can access your Word, Outlook, Teams, everything you can access on any of the device. There is no dependency. This is what software as a service, right? Then there are multiple cloud providers. No doubt, guys, AWS is the leader. But yes, the second one is now Microsoft Azure. Then the other one, IBM, GCP, DigitalOcean, VMware. Yeah, VMware is now Broadcom. But yeah, so it depends, right? Multiple cloud providers are there. Even you can start your cloud services. If you have your servers, if you have your servers, right, you can make it online, and then you can start offering your server on rent, that hey, you can configure the services on my server. Cloud is nothing. Cloud is just giving your services to anyone on rental basis. That's it. This is what cloud is. All right. Chalo. So now life cycle of a cloud computing. That let's say as a manager, I'm going to give you one task that hey, I want to move my infrastructures to cloud, my infrastructure to cloud. then what and all things you are going to take care, or what and all things you are going to prepare, what and all documentation you are going to do prior to the prior to moving my infrastructure to cloud. That is what the solution lifecycle management is, where actually you have to make the decision that what is going to be the services you are going to use, what is going to be the VM, what type of VM you are going to use, right? How network you are going to configure, how security would be there. So everything you have to plan it. So here actually it is the job of cloud architect. So cloud architect is going to make this kind of, um, the diagram, basically a rough diagram that how actually it is going to be. And once everything is going to be um, approved, right, then in that case they are going to make it um, the production diagram, and then they are going to move their services to cloud, right? So if you want to go for cloud computing, so first of all you have to define the purpose. This is what the steps are, guys. This is this is the it starts from here only, that if you want to move your services to cloud, so it starts from here, that you have to define the purpose, that why you want cloud, and what kind of cloud suits your requirement. It should be a public, it should be a private, or it should be a both, hybrid. You have to define it. You have to just first get the understanding of this thing, that how it is going to be. Then hardware, what kind of virtual machines you need, what should be the compute power of your VMs, what kind of series you want to go with, the backup would be the next part, I believe. Yeah. So this is the hardware, right? Then storage, obviously, in order to store the data, you will be needing storage also. So storage also, it is of multiple type, guys. In case of Azure, you will get local redundant storage, LRS, uh, geo redundant storage, zone redundant storage. I will explain all these things what are. Okay, I will let you know during the lectures, right? So what service, or what type of storage suits you the best? Or you want the premium SSD, you want the normal SSD, or you want the normal hard disk only, the SATA drives only? Because obviously if you're going with the premium SSD, the cost would be high. But if the cost would be high, then the data read write speed also would be high, right? So it also depends, like, at what kind of storage you are going to opt. Then network, again, until or unless the computers will not be able to communicate, the VMs will not be able to communicate, the services you are configuring, right, it has dependency with the database, the connectivity with the database. If that database is not going to connect that application, how the users will be able to access it, or even how you will be able to access it from outside the Azure network. That is where you have to define the networking. What kind of series you want? You want to go with class A, class B, class C? You want to go with IPv4 or IPv6? Everything comes under your network, right? Then if network is there, then obviously security also would be there. It should be secured. Either you are going to plan any web application firewall, or you are going to place any other third party vendor firewall like Checkpoint and Palo Alto and all. How you are going to limit the access of the users, that who can do what. So in cloud, there is term called least privileged access. So guys, it is always recommended that whenever you are working with cloud, or even obviously your teammates are also going to work on cloud, right? So your teammates or even you also has the least privileged access. Because if someone is not aware of the things, and They can do whatever they want, right? If you're going to give them the admin level access, they will be able to make change in your subscription. They can delete your subscription. That is why you should go with the least privileged access depending upon the profile. If let's say someone, let's say Aniket is going to work on AD, Entra AD. So why should I give him the access for my virtual machines? Why should I give him the access for storage? I am just going to restrict his access with Entra ID only. Rest of the things he will not be able to touch. I want he will be able to just see my virtual machines. Apart from that, he will not be able to start it. He will not be able to stop it. He will not be able to make any kind of change into it. I can do that. That comes under the security part. That comes under the identity access management part. And that is the major thing again for any of the organization. There are multiple type of roles are already predefined. Once you are going to work with Entra ID, there are already predefined roles available there. So depending upon your requirement, you are going to select that role and you are going to give that privilege to the particular user so that you can limit their access. You can put the restriction on them. Then management and process tools. Obviously, guys, if you are going to configure your servers, your VMs, right, you should have monitoring tool also. That if any of the virtual machine is stopped, or let's say the virtual machine is running with 90% of CPU, then obviously it should trigger one alert to you so that you can take the appropriate action on it. So you will be configuring the management tool also, right? And the last, I believe it would be the testing. Yeah, testing and process. You are not going to, after defining all these things, you are not going to do it on the production. First of all, you are going to test it, that whether whatever you want to configure or whatever you want, are you getting all those stuff? Are you able to get the same thing? So you are going to test it by building a test environment. Once your test environment would be fine, once everything is good, would be fine, then you are going to do it on the production level. This is the process actually which you are going to follow in order to start or in order to onboard any of the new client also. Let's say I am onboarding some new client. So in that case, directly, even I have the experience, directly I'm not going to configure his things on production environment. I will test it. I will show him that, hey, whatever you want, it is working as per the requirement. So after getting the confirmation, then only we are going to move, or then only we are going to create the things under our production environment. So these are the steps, guys, you should be very precise with the decision part, right? So that you can start configuring your services in any of the cloud. I'm not talking about Azure. Even for AWS also, you have to go with the same model, right? So this is the life cycle, or this is basically the basic of cloud computing. And now, um, any doubt, any question, the floor is open for you.
Yeah, Said. So from when this class will be starting? Like from Monday?
From Monday itself, yeah,
And what will be the timing? Like
8 o'clock.
8 to
8 to 9:30, or 8 to, yeah, 8 to 9:30 is going to be the maximum one, or it
oh,
regularly it would be 8 to 9. But if let's say any topic is taking time, or you have any query, you have any doubts, right, then only we are going to extend our timing.
Okay, and that should be from Monday to Friday. Like,
Monday to Friday, yeah, 5 days a week.
okay.
Yeah. It's possible that sometime VM is not working. Yes, Vaman, it can be possible, right? It is a hardware, right? Sometime it might possible the complete hardware is down, right? So it can be the outage also. Sometimes there would be some outage in the Microsoft data center. They are experiencing any power outage in that location. They are experiencing some internet outage in that location. Or let's say there is any natural disaster, right? So obviously these can be the scenarios. It can be possible. No problem. Yeah. Anyone else? Any doubt? Are we good to wrap up? Okay. Perfect. Yeah, Niket. Chalo. Okay then, guys. I'll see you on Monday, right? Hopefully you like the session. And as I told, you will be able to get all the
There
study
is
material.
no class for tomorrow.
No, no, no. For tomorrow, there would be from Monday itself. Regular classes from Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on same link we need to join, or they will provide the link?
That team will let you know, Sandesh. If there
Oh,
would be any change, you will get the link on your emails itself.
okay, okay, fine.
So,
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Sir, when will I get recordings?
Okay. So, guys, as soon as we are going to complete the session, right, by next day, uh, uh, 10 o'clock or by 11 o'clock in the morning, you will be able to get the videos on your portal with the topic names.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
And so the duration for this one is how much for this?